Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 16th episode of the iGaming show presented by Paramount Commerce. I'm your host, Varad Mehta, and in this podcast, we analyze gaming industry trends with experts from various gaming organizations. In today's episode, we celebrate Ontario's regulated iGaming market completing 2 years with Paul Burns, the president and CEO of the Canadian Gaming Association. So without further ado, let's get the show rolling.
Paul, so how we begin this podcast, and you know this, is by asking you a few fun questions. I had three lined up for you. Let's see if they hit this year. So
Okay.
I saw on your LinkedIn that you were at the partnership summit of the NFL Canada or NFL Canada, and I
Yes.
believe you got to see the Vince Lombardi Trophy. So what was that experience like?
It's wonderful to see, and the NFL's been such a great partner with the industry. I actually, to one up that, if you ever get to go to the NFL headquarters in New York, they have copies of all of the Super Bowl rings in the lobby. And the one thing you can note is they're getting progressively bigger every year.
More gold, more diamond in there.
Yeah, and obviously the Patriots had quite a run, and the things they did to each of their rings to make them different. But that's they also have the Vince Lombardi Trophy there too. But having the replicas of or copies of all of the Super Bowl rings is pretty cool to see.
That's awesome. My second fun question, keeping about sports today. Did you ever play a sport in school or college or university, or did you ever want to?
I played hockey, I still do.
Oh, nice. Okay, there you go. There's
Yeah,
some.
no, not very good anymore, but I play pickup hockey. But I also coach hockey.
Oh,
My teenage daughter is still a competitive hockey player and been coaching her team for a number of years now. So this is actually our final year because she's about to graduate from high school and go on to university, and she's not going to play hockey competitively anymore. So it's been it's fun. So I get to be on the ice a couple times a week with practices and occasionally get to play for myself. But it's fun. I love
that's
the game.
awesome.
Always have. Played it until I was 19 competitively, and so now but it's fun. I enjoy it. I'm a true Canadian hockey fan in every sense of the word.
That's awesome. There you go. There's some hidden
Yeah.
secrets about Paul Burns that people probably didn't know that we cracked. So yeah, that's a good one. And lastly, Paul, is right now there's like movies being remade that were like really not prominent, but they're like cult classics from back in the day, like the 80s, the 70s. You have a film like Dune that's come out. Then you have like a new Roadhouse that's coming out for some weird reason. So what's an old classic movie that you like to see get remade? Like that would actually make sense in today's time.
Oh wow, that's a tough question actually. Um, it's funny because there's so many of them have been remade. Um, and oh, you stumped me on that one. Um, you know, I have in terms of some of the classic '80s movies, which is I grew up watching and those some of them you just shouldn't remake.
Yeah,
To be honest, it's not going to get better. Um, oh wow, I don't really know, to be honest. To give you an off the top answer. That's a great one because I've seen. I think Bill Murray's coming back in the next version of Ghostbusters, and it's like okay, it's as I said, but sometimes that they
yeah.
don't get better from the original. But um, I like a wide range of movies, so I can't put my finger on one. I'm sorry,
No,
you
that's
stumped
okay.
me.
That's a good one. I always think
It
that
is.
in terms of old movies, I feel like if you can bring back westerns, because when my dad showed me a lot of like Clint Eastwood movies, and I
Right.
would love to see that being remade in some capacity in modern times, and just to see how they would kind of do it. But yeah, 80s Bloodsport would be a good remake, but I'm sure they've made 100 versions of Bloodsport already. So yeah.
That's true.
So
That's
moving
true.
on to the topic of discussion today, we're just here as our sort of, annual check-in with Paul, and we just want to know more about, what's happening in Canada's gaming industry, talk about the online aspect, talk about the land-based aspect. But I'd like to start, Paul. Last year I read there was a report that was released by iGaming Ontario, and which kind of laid out all the economic benefits that came out due to this regulated gaming market. There was billions of dollars contributed to the province's GDP. Jobs had been created because of this. Um, did you kind of anticipate that the market would grow this fast within like a 2 years or a year? Two, so yeah.
Yeah, I think that when the market was being created in terms of the regulatory regime and the commercial agreements and such, I think there was a high level of interest in the fact that much of the regulatory regime, especially um, uh, the AGCO, was very consultative. They listened. The regime, there was no surprises for a lot of people in that. Um, the revenue share agreement was fair, and so those things built upon the, the interest and helped seal the deal for bringing as many companies as we've seen come in. The fact it's open license has been unique to North America, which has given another avenue for companies who want to test their products in the marketplace in North America. But what we saw, and this is one of the things we told government, and the conversations in Alberta that are starting, it's the same. That there's a lot of infrastructure already here. There's a lot of people already working in the space. Companies like Paramount. There's from payments to technology, game development, all of that expertise and the fact that there were some companies sitting here and have been here for decades. Uh, PokerStars in particular had hundreds of people working in the north end of Toronto, still do. The Score was building out a strong platform and a product, and they were licensed in the US, Rivalry in Australia. Um, so there was lots of folks here, and that was the other part we're trying to talk about. You're going to unearth a lot of this activity that's going on, and that's part of what we wanted to say, that there are strong economic benefits. And, we don't have to talk about direct revenue to government, but talking about the economic development benefits of helping an industry that's here to grow and solidify its place in Canada and Ontario. And I think that's something that we continue to advocate for in terms of government's understanding that it's not always just about how much money you gain every year from your share of gaming revenue, but what economic activity can you create? What economic benefits, the jobs that can last for decades if you do this right. Those are the things we want to make sure that they understand, because that contribution to GDP is very important, and I think that's really in a lot of ways, and a lot of um, politicians I talk to, when they understand that they like that, and the fact is that for them is a good reason, beyond the simple and the obvious ones that the province stated when they started, that we wanted to increase consumer protection and protect consumer choice. And they've done that. And the benefits not only are the revenue to government, but also the jobs and the economic activity that have been created, because we have such an amazing technology infrastructure, from the volume of STEM grads, the companies that are already here in the tech space is one of the fastest growing tech sectors in North America, in the GTA in Ontario. But there's all other parts of the country too, and that's the other side. I mean, there's in Montreal, in New Brunswick, in Alberta, in the Lower Mainland of Vancouver. There's places all over the country where there are innovators doing wonderful things, and licensing and regulation is going to keep them here, keep them in Canada, keep them in their jurisdiction.
And sort of, just following that idea of jobs being created, there already kind of being a really good, tech industry within Canada. Do you think seeing all these benefits, other provinces might want to speed up their process of launching their own regulated gaming markets where international merchants are kind of moving in to these provinces?
Well, I we know a lot of people are looking at the Ontario experience. We've seen provinces have been reaching out to the AGCO and iGaming Ontario to learn more, and that's great because they should, and because see the fact that that's doesn't get mentioned very much anymore in all this is the Canadians have had unrestricted access to online gaming since its inception. And so why did we have all this infrastructure here already? Well, we had companies and innovators that started. Many left because they went to where they could get licensed and where their customers were. But the point was Canadians were spending billions of dollars on these sites and money was leaving the country and there was no economic benefit. And the odds in the country were not being able to compete. So when you look at, you go back to that's still there in the rest of Canada. In Ontario, the um, unregulated market has shrunk dramatically, but that's still in the rest of Canada. That's still a very important part that there's a business and activity going on there, and that's part of what we want them to recognize is that from a consumer protection point of view, it's important to bring in the level of regulatory oversight you have for your other sectors of the gaming industry in your jurisdiction. And so, no, it is important to make sure that the provinces understand what's going on, and the tools are within their control. No one, it's the provinces have always had the tools to do this. Um, I first started raising the question about regulating iGaming in 2006, 7, because it's like, hey, this is coming. It's growing, and it kept growing, it kept coming, and Ontario finally took the necessary steps because the provinces have had jurisdiction over gaming. It's in their control. And so now seeing that someone took the leap and did it, I think that, Alberta is quite keen. They've made their intentions, clearly it's stated that they're intending to do something. And they're learning from the Ontario experience directly and have had good conversations. But I think that then they're going to take a look at how it fits into their gaming market. But I think that they clearly see the benefits, and that's what we're hoping other jurisdictions do too.
And do you think that sort of land-based operators are also launching their own online, gaming platforms, seeing all the benefits that kind of are coming through for people who are having that online gaming offerings?
So far, I mean, Caesars is an offering in the provinces. They operate Windsor, Caesars Windsor. Mohegan Gaming Entertainment in Niagara Falls has launched their Play Falls View site. No one else has at this point in time. There's a couple issues around this that we still, as a CGA, want the government of Ontario to address, and because it's not a seamless process, unfortunately, for the casino operators. They have another. There's not one set of regulatory standards for gaming in Ontario. There's one for iGaming. There's one for land-based gaming. There is their contract. They have to have for land-based gaming is with Ontario Lottery and Gaming. They need to create a second one with iGaming Ontario. So it's sort of another system again, and then being able to make it a true omni-channel experience for their customer. We don't have, the single wallet model yet, where a casino customer could take, oh, I've got an account, I've got money in my account, I can play at home, I can play physically in the building. That doesn't exist yet. There's a number of barriers that they still need to address to make the true beneficial opportunity for land-based gaming, and they're committed to working on it, and we're committed to holding the feet to the fire on it because. We want to make sure that the casinos want to be able to extend their brands to their customers and players that they have to play at home and do it seamlessly and easy. Unfortunately, it hasn't been that way, and that's something that's where we need to do. There's still lots more work to do, and we need the AGCO and OLG and IGO to work together to make sure that they can make that happen.
That's a good one. I don't think people would think about single wallets that way. That's a really cool sort of tech aspect that people could consider when, offering like a obviously.
Yeah, but it's you have to think of it from the customer's point of view. Like, I love coming to your facility. Um, I've got money in my in an account with you that I can use online. Well, why can't I access it if you're the same business in the same jurisdiction? I should be able to access it and make that a seamless experience. Um, because that's the nature of what everybody is wanting to what's good for the customer. How can you make it seamless and a wonderful experience for them? And that's what we want everybody to look at it from. It's what is the customer experience in this, and those are the kinds of things that the customer will be looking for. Um, it's hard to explain to them the bureaucracy of government on why you can't access your online money in a physical casino. Um, that's not an acceptable experience for the customer, and so those are kinds of things, and it's a way to begin to introduce cashless options
Mhm.
into the casino environment because it's still a cash-based business. We firmly believe that customers and the casino operators do too should have access to all payment options. It's not about the exclusion of cash to take others, but actually a wide range of payment options should be available for customers to make. Again, what's the customer perspective? We have a lot of people today that don't carry cash. Um, so those are the kinds of things that we want to see happen with the market because that can truly make it beneficial for the land-based business and they can leverage their customers into offering a really great experience.
Now, apart from sort of like single wallets or having those sort of tech aspects within gaming, are there any other technology trends that you kind of anticipate that might come up within iGaming and sports betting in Canada, or even in land-based operations? Are you
Well,
excited to see something?
what I've seen over the last couple of years is some really great um, Canadian entrepreneurs, innovators who have been building unique product. Obviously, we see a lot in the sports space. Um, But I think of companies like Row Six, which are doing some contest and pre-play work with Bet99 and the NHL. Kiro Sports, Thomas has created some really great products for sports that work in the lottery space as well as the sports book space. Um, and then we've seen the same on um, from the affiliate side and marketing, customer acquisition, and retention. There's really some really great work being done out there, and that's fantastic to see, and that's something that you get with this kind of having the regulated market here. Is that the innovators are here and trying to create new products for operators to look at, to experiment with, and to buy, um, and that's a lot of that is has bubbled up because of the Ontario marketplace here and allowed them get a foothold and access other customers around the world in North America, and that's been terrific. So it is these markets can breed innovation, and there's always um, companies are always looking for new ways to interact with their customers and offer new products. So it's great to see, and it's something that I like to talk about because I get to meet a lot of these folks who are doing some really great stuff in affiliate space and product space and other things. Um, and so it's fun, and it's been great that um, the entire marketplace has been able to unleash some of those folks to be able to create their businesses.
That's a good one because I think technology and gaming, I think when mixed together, they can, really provide a player like a really immersive gaming experience. But another really important aspect of gaming in Canada is the angle of consumer protection that has been like, central to what Ontario has, when Ontario came up with the regulated gaming space, consumer protection was at sort of the core um, in that. So I read somewhere that iGaming Ontario is intending to issue a request for proposals for a centralized self-exclusion solution. Can you tell us why something like that is important? Because obviously they've made such efforts. Everyone has sort of made efforts to have that consumer protection aspect at the forefront. So why do you think something like this is important?
Well, it having a place for uh, people who have recognized that they have problems with gaming products can go to self-exclude, and that doesn't like it. And being able to have a place where they don't even have to sign up to get an account to be able to self-exclude, but even just to go and say, I don't want to play, I need a place to self-exclude. To be able to do that is important, given the nature of the access to online gaming and mobile devices and the rest. And given the size of the market, you want to make sure that once someone self-excludes in one place, they self-exclude everywhere. And in fact, that includes land-based casinos and online sites. And it should be all. And it should be one integrated self-exclusion program for the entire province to make it seamless for people who want to do it. Don't make it hard. Don't make it difficult. Let's make it simple that people can go to a place, and when they self-exclude for one, they self-exclude for all. And if we build a model on a platform here in Ontario, and being able to do this, it could be a model for the country. We could have a national self-exclusion program at some point eventually, if that was the case, because it's the technology isn't difficult. It's just the integrating operators and lots of operators into the single platform, and that they can ensure that if you have problems, we shouldn't be making people go from site to site to site. That's ridiculous, and that was always the intention from the beginning, was to do this, and we're happy it's coming. Um, and think it's a great initiative and be able to do it. But we'd like to see, in particularly, one for the entire province, for land-based, for online, everybody can self-exclude in one easy to use spot, to be able to do that. And it's, again, we have to think of it from the individual, from the customer, from the person, thinking back from them, how can we best make it seamless and easy for people to be able to take the action they're wanting to take, and not make it hard, and not, that if it's too difficult, does it dissuade them from doing it? Things like that have to be very important. So no, we're pleased it's coming. We hope it's going to be one work towards one single self-exclusion program for the entire province, which includes land-based and online. And we will hopefully, we look forward to seeing it. We've been very supportive and encouraging IGO to do it as quickly as possible.
That's a great initiative. When it comes out, I think that would be a really good initiative.
We hope that it comes out that way.
No, definitely.
I don't know the details yet.
Oh, definitely. And my last question, Paul, would be your predictions, your analysis for what's to come next in Ontario or Canada for iGaming and sports betting, or even land-based operations. What do you see as like the top 2 or top 3 things that are going to happen in the next year?
Well, the next year, I think we're going to continue having a conversation about new regulated markets. I think that's for sure, for regulating iGaming. Again, we, as the CGA, have talked to jurisdictions. It's the knowing that Canadians are doing this with offshore sites and been doing it for 20 plus years. Why don't want to put in the consumer protection measures to protect players in your jurisdiction? We have in Canada have always been world leaders and punched way above our weight in terms of initiatives in the responsible gaming field. So everybody should be eager to be able to bring regulated gaming to their jurisdictions. And so it's the nature. It's been a disruptor. The internet's disrupted lots of industries, and it's done it to this one. And the provincial governments, lottery corporations haven't had monopolies or control over their jurisdictions exclusively for decades now. So why don't you want to create a level playing field for you and the stronger consumer protection measures? So we're going to have that conversation and continue to have it. Would it mean new markets open this coming year? I don't know. I think it takes time in jurisdictions. Alberta is keenly interested in having the conversation and starting the work. But I think that we just want to continue to make sure that we have that conversation with as many jurisdictions as possible, because we believe in regulated gaming. We believe our members have welcome regulations, sign up for jurisdictions when they're available to them, and it makes business interest for them to participate in those markets. They do. Um, and so that's why it's for us. That's extremely important, and I think we're going to see continual conversations around gaming and gaming advertising, which is fine. We believe the debate's been highly emotional to this point in time and actually missing a lot of facts, because advertising has actually been declining in the last year, and there's a great number of rules and regulations and oversight that are put in place over advertising, not only from the AGCO, but from the advertising broadcast sector. So there's lots of policies, there's lots of regulations, lots of oversight, and so we're just going to make sure that we can educate the public and stakeholders in understanding what's actually occurring. We've had gaming advertising for 30 plus years, 40 years in Canada, so it's not new. It's some of it's different, but that's also becomes those are the sites we want people to play on. Those are the regulated sites. It's the privilege you get with being regulated and licensed in a jurisdiction is you get to advertise. And we want to make sure that they continue to do that, because that's the place we want people to go. If you're going to gamble on a regulated site, it's going to give you the highest level of consumer protection, and ensure fair games in a safe, secure environment. And that's what we want.
100%. Paul, I want to thank you once again. I always love and I always look forward to our annual checkups. And, whenever I see if you post something on LinkedIn and you're just so active within the industry, it's always good to learn straight from an industry expert. So thank you so much for your time again. And I hope whoever listens to this can also get a lot of insights and, learn a lot from this podcast.
Well, thanks for having me. I always enjoy it. And keep up the good work. I enjoy the podcast. I learned a little bit more about payments industry thanks to you. So appreciate that. And we'll talk again soon.
Yes. Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Seeing the amazing results coming in from Ontario's regulated iGaming market, it is safe to say that other Canadian provinces will be looking forward to creating and launching their own gaming markets. I want to thank our guest today, Paul Burns, the CEO and President of the Canadian Gaming Association, for joining us today and providing his expertise. If you have any questions for us or Paul, then please do comment them down below. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. For the episode transcript and other amazing content, please visit ParamountCommerce.com. Thank you so much for tuning into the iGaming show presented by Paramount Commerce. I'm your host, Varad Mehta, and until next time, keep gaming.